Alright, summer of 38. The Japanese demand, in nice glare there, Inner Mongolia. Not a useful card in terms of the political events, but it is legal for them to play it because the army was in charge when they put it underneath. So even though it wouldn't be legal to pick it now, it still would have taken effect had it not been for the war. Meanwhile, Ribbentrop diplomacy over here for the Germans. They ended up getting an Axis influence, which they slapped down in Czechoslovakia. For the Japanese, and both sides got some replacement points. The Japanese finished off and conquered Hope, and now that is sent into the Western conquered miners. I should get a little seeded lands box marker for that as well. Otherwise, there'd be production in the miners. The Japanese don't have a miner ally right now, so they're not going to get any. They might get their colonial forces. I gotta look that up, but I don't have any colonial steps that I can take except. Yeah, it's still on the box there. But that's something to keep in mind that, if I attack Jiangsu, now they're going to be actually producing troops to defend themselves. It's pretty much what I have to do, though. Let's see. I guess that's about it. So the Allies went with the cash and carry bill, gave them a political event, and then threw, Szechuan into their influence area, essentially. This is mainly a card that's going to help them get other cards out. And on the west, they went with French military reforms, denying the Maginot Line, essentially. And this gave them took a couple cards out of the play, but it also gave them some advanced units, including an interceptor for air, into their force pool delay box. Conditional events coming as well. For conditional event segment, they got an infantry step. Hopefully I placed that in place. I think that's the one over here in Paris. And then for the Russians, I found I screwed up and essentially had to play a blank card. They cheated and played a card with a 1 point on it, and they had another one with 1 point here. And this was the best rectification I could come with. And actually, it probably should have been just denying both cards or something, but it's an honest mistake. And here they played the Central Alliance, and I have not yet rolled the event. In the option side, they got an additional headquarters available, and they got a couple extra steps during replacements, but I got to roll that event, see what comes up. And we get a 1, which is diplomatic success, 1513. I think that's going to give them the ability to move something in their direction in the central region. Let's see how that works. Select the area table corresponding to the area and roll a die. If the die resulted as a neutral, you get an influence from it. Okay, so they don't get a choice, but this could end up negating, because I took the central, could end up negating the Czechoslovakian advantage. Let's see what we got there. We got the wrong set of game. Area table central. It was a 6 setback, no result. Well, that's a pity. Okay, and somewhere, I don't know where, yeah, what I'm picking for next time is Western guarantees. We're going to try to push the Germans into a corner early. Now, of course, I don't know how early it is if they're already going to be demanding Czechoslovakia at this point, but yeah, we'll see. I guess we're ready to move it on to the next turn. I got a couple of things in delay boxes I got to roll for on both sides, but that's not really worth watching. And we're ending the June-July turn, moving into the last turn of the summer here. Let me get some more stuff on the board. Let me explain briefly what happened for the Axis. Well, we got their cards out. Let me see. Actually, the Japanese kind of failed in terms of they moved forward. They finished Hope off, I think, last time. Here they just moved forward to the Kiangsu border, but then they declared war on them. They probably should have launched an attack last turn. It didn't really hurt them. I can remove this. But there's sort of a delay. Now, the problem is they've still got mud here. Throughout the central, they've got mud until they hit this period in our traditional autumn and winter. It's going to be hard for me to get the pattern of the weather that goes in Asia compared to what I'm used to, and that's just going to be a difficulty with not being familiar with playing the Asian games too much. In Burma, I didn't really have it because it wasn't at such a strategic level where I could see that seasons change quickly. It was sort of, yeah, I'm close to monsoon season, yep, whatever that meant. Well, here it's right, this kind of pattern cycle that I'm over on the European side. What do we got? Not much changed. Russians got another failure over in the central region. Didn't manage to get the success that they rolled for. French continuing to get reinforcements. We got something with Ribbentrop, didn't we? I don't know. I don't see anything. So yeah, overall it looks like not a lot's happening over there in the west. And the exciting stuff's going to be here. Oh, I know what happened that was interesting. Kansu is no longer aligned with the Soviets. Therefore, it may not be communist aligned at all, which would be kind of amusing. And that there was a border incident, or not a border incident, but I don't know, something that came off the cash and carry bill. Just some random event off the colonialism table, dropped over to, I don't know, minor country politics, which then shoots, that determined the one, and then I don't remember, diplomatic incident. Could have been something, and it ended up with neutrality. It looked interesting for the Axis, maybe a little dangerous, but whatever. All right, let's push on. We finished up the summer, going into the autumn. Very, very briefly, not a lot happened here. Cash and carry caused the Japanese a border incident with the Russians. They chose to take a Kwangtung army casualty on that rather than changing the policy. They could have affected the policy, say, of Communist China. And that might not be a big deal because there doesn't seem to be much of a Communist China. I'm not sure if Mongolia is part of it or not. But allowing Xinjiang definitely is. Allowing them to enter the war state might allow them to be brought into the war more easily. That's something I'd rather not have. So take it on the easy side here, especially since Kansu is now open and kind of available. That's very attractive. We do have the Japanese pounding their way through. They've pushed into Chengchao. The nationalists have pulled back here. Nanjing's been taken, of course. And it's not looking like the nationalists can do a great job. One thing, though. We're at the beginning of a seasonal turn, so again, we have to count the points. And the points have gone up again. We've hit a second one for the Japanese, so they're a +2. That still doesn't move anything here. And nothing's moved over on the western board, so we're not going to be touching that. that's about it. I'll finish the follow-up on this same vid. So here we are in the, August? Well, August through September turn. I turned over the Axis cards, Diplomatic Overtures. That ended up giving some delay reduction, essentially, through wandering through those charts, because they bounce around from place to place. And then over here, for the Germans, they demanded Czechoslovakia, and they actually got it, along with some replacement units that they took over here as a mountain unit. But they've gained Czechoslovakia now. It's over in the ceded lands box, and it just counts as part of Germany now, more or less. They can't build there, but yeah. All right, on to what happened here in the East. I'm actually not sure about whether or not that counts as homeland. Over here in the East, you can see the Japanese have pushed further into Kiangsu, and they've gotten pretty successful, actually, with the attacks that they're making. One thing to note in particular is this poor little Chinese guy who's stuck in a swamp. Now you would think, oh my god, he's out of supply. Well, in this game, supply doesn't really exist. It does in the sense that that guy can't place support units, and there's a few other things that he can't do because he's out of supply. But he can still attack, well, not with his 0 strength, but he can also defend at full strength, and he won't just die, he won't just vaporize. The Japanese have to actually eliminate him. They're making some pretty good headway into Kiangsu, though, and I'm kind of not sure how well the nationalists are going to hold out here. Now, there's special rules about Kiangsu where it won't surrender normally. You have to use a special card, the same way you would with the US or the Brits or the Russians, to force them out of the war. And you're only allowed to do that to one country. So, you know, it's kind of a hard choice, but to get your victory over Kiangsu, you do have to use that one option. I don't think I'm going to be able to force the US out of the war, which would be, hey, serious bonus for Japan, right? So given that, maybe Kiangsu is my only option here. All right, well, continue on with the turn. Okay, swinging through the rest of the stuff here in the autumn turn. I don't know where I stopped last. Well, I guess we'll run through it all, huh? I don't know. Damn. Alright, I don't remember what I covered and what I didn't. I think I did the Axis. Very briefly, yeah, I must have, because I handled the combat. Let's look at the Allied choices then. Warning to Japan. That's a card that, again, causes other things to be playable, like the cash and carry bill. I'm building up to where I can actually do something. But without going through these political niceties, it's not allowable. And there's also effects on it. I believe it ended up giving Szechuan, perhaps, over to the Allied forces. And over here, Western guarantees. That changed the status on the postures. Now this is kind of hard to see, but you can see they say guarantees now. Before they used to say appeasement. This is more likely that the Allies will be able to push into a war situation here once they've made these guarantees. Of course, they made guarantees with Czechoslovakia and backed down from them, so it's certainly going to be possible for something like that to happen. A little bit of troops gained there. For the Russians, over on, well, they did mainly diplomacy. They did the Lanchow Agreement, which didn't really, that's not a big help. It's a late played card, but I wanted to use it here because it's a 0 value and doesn't conflict, because other than that, I've got kind of these things. And Litanov Diplomacy, The Litvinov Diplomacy, kind of ashamed to use that in a winter turn, except it's a recyclable card, so it's going to come back to my hand. So that ended up getting actually some influence in Poland. Maybe Poland is very key here, so the warm and fuzzy Russia said, you know, that's probably the place I most want allied with me, especially now that Czechoslovakia is gone. And then in the east, they got Kansu back under their wing. They actually could have activated as an ally had they had a marker there already, and they could have activated Xinjiang as an ally. I don't know what this is. East Turkestan, part of it. Directly, but I'm not sure what that does for them terribly well. It doesn't put the minor ally at war, it just makes them more associated if things go bad. Well, things are likely to go bad, but Xinjiang is not the place I really want the help from. It's Kansu if they do. That's where I'll be able to actually interfere in the Civil War, I guess, or whatever it is. Invasion. Yeah, there's sort of a Chinese Civil War going on at the same time. All right, well, let's push it forward, get these guys out of from the delay box onto their turn, and finish up the winter, or the autumn. And here we're at the end of autumn. Slid this forward. Moving into the winter seasonal interface. Japanese have largely taken most of Kangsu over. There's still southern resistance, and you'll notice, bang, we got the KMT headquarters there, which is going to provide a great deal more difficulty. It can't retreat, but it gives an additional shift on top of whatever the terrain, which is in this case the city, will give. Basically, you have to make your stand somewhere, and there ain't much left. So, spent the reserve to get that. It's as good as the unit that would have been gotten there, plus the shift. The only problem is once it's lost, it goes into the delay box. It becomes a problem to get back. Over in Europe, not much happening at all. And we get another card pick here. If we look at some of these, Japan and Germany have not done a mobilization. I don't know what it's called. The little wrenches. I don't remember what they're called. Reinforcement or something type card. Hopefully they've got them set for their last card, because you're only allowed one a year, and you kind of do want to get them out and in play. Alright, I'm going to load this up, and we'll start the next year with the winter.